Episode 8 picks up right where Episode 7 left off. The two stormtroopers that picked up Baby Yoda are sitting outside of the city waiting orders that they can come in. And as they're really just screwing around, IG-11 shows up because it's programmed to protect the child. The droid takes out both stormtroopers and grabs Baby Yoda and hops on one of the speeder bikes, but instead of heading back to the ship, it heads back into town because it's programmed to protect. And in the town, the group is surrounded and they try to escape through the sewers, but to no avail. And Moff Gideon makes mention that the group is desperate. And in fact, they are, because the Imperials just set up a cannon. And Cara is all too familiar with the dangers of this thing. Moff Gideon starts to address them personally, saying if anybody knows the dangers of this cannon, it is Cara. But she only saw the destruction of the cannon's predecessor, and this is the new version. Then he calls the Mandalorian by his real name, Din Djarin, and then he asks Greef Karga to put down his weapons. And in doing all of this, he's proving that he knows everything about the people that are inside. So Greef is actually entertaining this idea to lay down his arms and ask, can we trust you? And he says, no, you can't. In fact, I would love nothing more than to double cross you guys. You broke our pact. But as of right now, it's in my best interest to keep you guys alive. So until that changes, I'm going to allow you guys to come out. And I'll give you till nightfall to figure out if you want to do that or if you want to get blown up by this cannon. And as they're discussing their options, the Mandalorian makes mention that he knows who it is. It's Moff Gideon. But Cara makes mention that Moff Gideon was supposed to be killed for war crimes. And the Mandalorian knows it's Moff Gideon because when he was a child, his parents were killed by droids. But before his parents were killed, he was hidden. And right as a droid was about to kill him, a Mandalorian saved his life. And this is probably why he has a serious distrust of droids. But when he became of age, he swore into the creed of the Mandalorian. And at the time of the Great Purge, Moff Gideon was an ISB officer. And the only place that had record of his actual name was on Mandor, and Moff Gideon would have had that information. But the good news is, they haven't captured the child yet because he says that they need him. And when the Mandalorian tries to get in touch with Quill, he's unable to do so, but he does get in touch with IG-11. And IG-11 is coming in hot to save their ass. He takes out a couple of stormtroopers outside of the village and is able to meet up in the town square and starts firing at everybody he sees, which allows the group to exit the building. They start putting up a really good fight and giving the Imperials everything that they can handle until the Mandalorian is down when Moff Gideon has him in his sights, but instead of shooting him, he decides to shoot something next to him that blows up and flies the Mandalorian backwards. It knocks them out, and the group has to regroup inside of the house to figure out their next play. The IG goes to work trying to open up that sewer gate so they can escape via the sewers. And Cara is trying to tell the Mandalorian that it'll be alright, but he's saying it won't be. You gotta leave without me. And he's bleeding from the head pretty profusely. The Mandalorian says, make sure the child's safe. It's too late for me. He gives her a medallion and says, when you get to the Mandalorian covert, show them the medallion. Tell him it's from Din Djarin. And tell him that the child was in his protection and they will help you. But she's still not giving up on trying to save his life, even though it seems like he has accepted defeat. And as they're having this conversation, a stormtrooper armed with a flamethrower starts lighting up the building. He starts setting the building on fire outside, but then goes to set them on fire inside. Luckily, though, when he goes to set them ablaze, the child uses the Force to take that fire, stop it in midair, and throw it back at the stormtrooper, killing him. IG-11 gives Cara the child, saying, protects the child, I will take care of the Mandalorian, escape via the sewers, and Greef Karga, the child, and Cara do so. So now it's just IG-11 and the droid-hating Mandalorian. And the Mandalorian tells him, alright, get it over with, kill me. But he says, no, I've been reprogrammed. I'm a nurse bot now. But I'm gonna have to take your helmet off to fix you. And he says, no, I can't do that. No living thing has ever seen me with my helmet off since I put it on. But the droid reminds him, I'm not a living thing, and takes it off. He sprays his head with some healing spray and gets him down into the sewers. And the group meets up with Cara, Greef, and the kid. They start trying to find their way out of the sewers, and the Mandalorian wants to meet up with the other Mandalorians hiding in the sewers because he wants them to help them escape the town. But when they come up to the area where the Mandalorians hide, he finds nothing but the remnants of their armor. Immediately, he starts blaming Greef Karga, demanding to know if he did it. Even though Greef is adamant that he did not, it just seems like the Mandalorian is convinced that it actually was Greef Karga or his people. Until finally, the Mandalorian blacksmith pops up from the shadows and says, he didn't do it. When we came out of hiding, we knew this could be a possibility. The Mandalorian asks if she will come with them, and she says, no, I'm not going to abandon this place until I've salvaged all of what's left. When she lays eyes on the child, she says it looks helpless, and the Mandalorian says, it's not helpless, it's just injured at the moment. Believe it or not, he can actually move things with his mind, and she's heard of this because she knows about the Jedi. She tells the Mandalorian the stories of the Jedi, and the Mandalorian asks if they're enemies, to which he says, no, well, it's kind we're enemies, but this one right here is not. And by creed, it's now in your care. He says, well, am I supposed to train him? She says, no, it's too weak, it'll die. But it would be a good idea to reunite it with its own kind. The Mandalorian, though, has no interest in just trying to comb the galaxy to figure out where Baby Yoda came from. Now, while they're discussing the child, Kara wants to get the hell out of there, and the blacksmith says if you just follow that path right there, it'll lead you to a river of lava. The Mandalorian wants to stay with the blacksmith, but she says you can't, because that child is in your care, and until it's of age or it's reunited with its own kind, you're its father. And right before the Mandalorian leaves with the group, she gives him his signet. He is now a part of a clan of 2. She also gives him a jetpack, which he had been looking for, although he doesn't know how to really use it quite yet. So the group heads off to the river of lava, and not long after, a bunch of stormtroopers show up, asking a bunch of questions to the blacksmith. But she's a Mandalorian, and she takes them out with ease. The group has discovered not only a river of lava, but also a boat with a droid as a captain. And the droid starts steering the ship down the river, and it seems like the group is home free. Until that is, the Mandalorian uses his infrared abilities and sees that they're actually floating into a trap of a bunch of stormtroopers. IG-11 makes mention that he cannot be captured. Even though he's been reprogrammed, he's still going to have to self-destruct before being caught by the enemy. But the Mandalorian says, no, you can't. We're going to fight our way out of this. But he says, no, there's no way out of this. But if you agree to protect the child, I probably can get us out of here because I will use myself as a sacrifice. And even though the Mandalorian pleads with him not to do it, IG-11 hops in the lava, slowly crawling towards the group of stormtroopers. And as they're all kind of looking at him confused, he self-destructs and kills all of them. So the group comes out of the tunnel and it seems like they're scot-free, but Moff Gideon has hopped in his TIE fighter and is coming right at them. And they realize they're not going to be able to take him out with just their blasters. So the Mandalorian puts on that jetpack and is able to hop on one of the wings of the TIE fighter. He puts a bomb on the wing, hops off of it, and it explodes, and Moff Gideon's TIE fighter goes crashing to the ground. Now that they've cleared the town of all the stormtroopers and the Imperials, Grief Karga asks them if they will stay. He wants to hire Kara, but she says, my record's not too clean. He says, don't worry about that. I'll wipe it all clean. But the Mandalorian isn't staying because he has to take care of the child. So he heads back to the ship, makes a little makeshift grave for Quill, and then the Mandalorian and the child get ready to head off. But right before he leaves, he noticed that there's something around the child's neck, and it's that medallion that he gave Kara to give to the Mandalorians when he thought he was going to die. He tells the child to keep it, and they fly off together. But the season doesn't end there because Moff Gideon has survived the crash, cuts his way out of the TIE fighter, and is going to be looking for the child and vengeance. And that is how Season 1 of The Mandalorian ends. Please subscribe to this channel. It's only one button. It would be really cool if you clicked it. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this video, and hit the thumbs down button if you thought this video absolutely sucked, because I probably at one point said Moof Gideon instead of Moff Gideon. If you know somebody that needs a recap of The Mandalorian, please hit the share button. It's there for a reason. And if you say something in the comment section and I don't respond, don't take it personally. I just avoid the comment sections because they usually just make me feel bad, and I'm a sensitive guy. But thank you so much for watching.